Dan Tortora here for a very special Dolphin Dive with the head coach of the LeMoyne Dolphins softball team. That is Tracey Roman here with me on the Heights. Tracey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dan? Great to see you again.
Great to see you too. Always good to have you here. So we're here in this edition of the Dolphin Dive to discuss what it was like to get some fall ball action and get out there on the softball field. So what were your takeaways?
I'm really excited about our team. You know, what we did this fall is nothing different than what we've done in the past. We try to play as many teams as we can. In the past, it's just always lined up better that it was Division I programs because those are our neighbors. But no, it gives us a nice preview into the work that we need to do and going to certainly help our preparation as we go into these next couple of months of individual skill work.
When you go through this and, you know, we don't see Syracuse on anybody's schedule, but they're on yours, I get to put that out to people, and people, you know, immediately I think their reaction was like, oh my God, this is the first time. But you had written over to me like, hey, this is not something that's out of the ordinary for us in fall ball, is to have Syracuse from down the road. But like you said, now being a Division I program, do you kind of look at things differently? And I mean, what changes in the sense of playing these Division I teams in fall ball?
You may not want to show your entire hand in the fall. That changes a little bit, but you know, Division I is a completely different situation than Division II. When we were previously in the NE 10, I'm getting my NEs mixed up. We'd have 2 to 5 teams make the NCAA tournament. Now you have to win your conference outright for softball anyway to have a shot at a berth in the NCAA tournament. So it doesn't necessarily hurt you to go out and play some of these teams to get some exposure. But yeah, not much has really changed. It's just, I think everybody's excited that they have another local partner to play on their schedules as well. And I think it'll be great for the game, just the rivalries that we can establish between folks in state. You know, you have a lot of people from upstate New York that have gone to a lot of the Division I schools locally, so I think it'll be pretty fun.
Do you feel like when you're putting your schedule together that now that LeMoyne Softball is Division I, you're having more profitable conversations with New York schools?
What do you mean by profitable?
Like the fact that now maybe they're more open to playing you in their non-conference, and now that there's Division I versus Division I, that it's something that can kind of pay off dividends for your team's exposure at these schools, your team's learning, growth, and whatnot. Do you feel like that phone call is either maybe coming to you instead of you making it, or that when you make that phone call, there's a very receptive person on the other end?
I think so much of what we do in college athletics is about building relationships and having relationships with people. So a lot of the coaches on the opposing teams will play this coming spring are people I've known for many, many years. So I'm fortunate to have these relationships established where I did get a lot of phone calls of people not only wanting to play us, but having the willingness to come to our place in our inaugural year, where it can sometimes be difficult to have people, come to you. So we're really fortunate from that standpoint. But yeah, it definitely opens up the door to opponents we didn't have before, and it does increase your exposure when you're playing teams like Syracuse, or Binghamton had a great year last year. So yeah, we're really excited about the opportunities.
What New York schools can you tell us non-conference we're going to be on there? I know you and I talked a few months back about some of the things that had been kind of set up, but what can you tell us?
Right now, on the docket we have Colgate, we have Cornell, we have Syracuse, we have Binghamton, we have Siena. We will play St. Bonaventure's down south. We'll play Manhattan down south as well. Those are the bulk of the New York schools we were able to get on the list this year. Actually, we ran out of space for scheduling. We can take up to 56 games. That's the max. And right now we're at 55. We could pick up one. So we'll see with that. But we had to say no to some people because our schedule was full.
So you're in a position, like you said, and I agree with you that it's all about relationship building, right? And in building these relationships, to have 50 plus games, and to be at that 55, you can have 56, and to have to turn people away that's got to make you feel good about the network you've created, the relationships you've built, and the fact that, you know, there is been so much openness, I think, not just to LeMoyne, but to Tracey Roman.
Yeah, again, it probably speaks to how long I've been around the game, and my initial experiences were at the Division I level, so I was very fortunate to be introduced at a young age by my mentors to, you know, significant names in the game, and I've worked hard to maintain those relationships throughout the years, regardless of whether I was coaching at the college level or not. So yeah, I mean, it comes in handy, and that's why, you know, with any walk of life or any type of work that you do, I just think keeping good relationships with people, you never know how the circle of life comes around, and when you might meet and need help from somebody in the future. So no, I feel very, very fortunate to be in the position that we are in right now.
Well, I think the thing is, and you and I have talked about this before in a way, is that when you're good to people, you're never worried about what's coming.
Right, 100%.
Yeah. And so when you talk about the schedule with the Binghamton, Siena, Colgate, Cornell, Syracuse, St. Bonaventure, Manhattan, this is exciting. And I know that, you know, fans knowing that Syracuse is right down the road, there's been this like waiting to see who is going to finally get to have LeMoyne Syracuse. Like what team is going to make that happen? How proud and excited are you that softball gets to really spotlight and showcase this when in fall ball and obviously in some of the winter sports, we're not going to be seeing LeMoyne Syracuse. So in the spring, you get to bring that to fruition.
Well, we had a little bit of an advantage. You know, I know the announcement was made in May about our transition, which really scheduling is pretty much done for fall and winter sports, and a lot of times even with spring sports, you're either beginning or finishing things up. So we were fortunate that the timeline worked out a little bit better for us. But yeah, we're really, really excited to play Syracuse. I mean, they're being a good community member, you know, in allowing us that opportunity. And they came here just a week ago to scrimmage. We only got a few innings in, but for us to go there, it's to me, it's common sense. It's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It's budgetarily, it helps all of us. And also, if we get into a situation where you have to reschedule, you're not going to lose that game because they're literally right down the road. So, no, we're really, really excited. I guess, you know, to your point, like when I was scheduling it, I never really considered that piece of it because, of course, I'm not privy to what everybody else's schedule was at the time. But no, it's really, I'm just excited. I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for our community, and it's only going to strengthen our ties.
You know, and with what you have here on the Heights for LeMoyne Softball here with head coach Tracey Roman in this edition of the Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call, your next month, and so really not that we're talking a few days away as we're stepping into November, we're supposed to finally get that press box delivered.
Yes.
So what can you say about that?
Anytime you see construction or building development going on a college campus, I think it's a sign of growth and it's a good sign of our financial standing. So I'm super excited about that. I'm glad that the college recognized that this was important for our student athletes and for the staff that work within. So I'm super excited that they've prioritized the project and only going to help us with recruiting even more. So happy that we're moving in that direction. Not that I want to wish November here.
Yeah. Well, and Bob Beretta, the athletics director here at LeMoyne, before anything came up about Division I, Bob and I sat and he told me I have a plan, phases of a plan. The first phase of these plans I'm working on is I want a concession stand and restroom at Ted Grant Field. I want to replace the dugouts and do some work at the baseball field, and I want a press box at softball. So all of this was pre any conversation about Division I. This was something that when Bob came in said, these three things have to be done no matter what we do. So what does it mean to you to have an athletics director that's not saying, well, we're doing all this because we have to, because we're D1, but that this was already in the making and in the works, that this was part of planning and fundraising and having the money so that softball, baseball, and the Ted Grant Field area no matter what division, was going to have what you needed to move forward.
I think Bob's experience coming in with his time at West Point, it was easy for him to recognize where some of our deficits were facility-wise. But even though it's easy to see a deficit, it's harder to do something about it. I think we're very fortunate that he's a baseball guy and his daughter played softball. So athletic directors may not always prioritize those two sports, but he really, really takes great interest in our sport. But no, he's worked very, very hard, and he really is a change maker. He's somebody that really pushes and tries to come to the table with solutions. If we can't get Plan A executed, maybe we can get Plan B executed. But I'm really impressed with the work he's done here, and he really is a coach's administrator. You definitely feel like he's on your team, and I'm just thrilled to see what's to come, because that man works. He works very, very hard.
And I'm excited about the press box because there was a wonderful game that I saw with a lot of runs scored and a just awesome play by LeMoyne Softball, and it was also 31 degrees outside. so knowing that in the spring we get all kinds of weather, right? It'll be good to have that press box there, like you said, for the people working the game as well as the media. And, it also creates a new look to the softball field itself and gives people that maybe didn't look to come out to a game or look at the field when there is construction, like you said, and it turns eyes in that direction. My hope is always, and I've been this way forever since I started, that the sports that don't always get the publicity, I've worked to change that here on Wake Up Call, and for women's sports in general, it's been personal to me to change that. So anything we can do to get eyes on softball, I think, is important.
Well, we really appreciate that very, very much. And yeah, like you were saying, by building the press box or having things like the concession stand put in place, you get so many people that drive onto a college campus throughout the year, whether they're prospective student athletes, alumni, what have you. But it demonstrates the college's commitment to their student athletes. Yeah. And that's really, really important. It's a huge marketing tool in the recruiting process. And any way we can improve the lives, not just of our student athletes, but certainly of our staff as well, it makes the whole situation a better experience for everybody. So
I know that there's a plan in this 4-year process of transitioning to Division I that each team at some point will be able to bring in coaching assistants and to have a true assistant coach, to have someone there to expand your staff. What can you say about the future of softball here at LeMoyne and you getting some necessary help?
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours about this. It's tough because that is, like, especially with our sport, right? We're weather dependent, so we're juggling facilities, but we have very specific positions as far as pitching and defense and hitting. I will be relieved just because I think we've performed well with the resources we've had, but I'm excited to see what more we can do. And really, Dan, it's more about, I want to make sure the student athletes are getting the attention and the eyes on them that they deserve. And the staff we have right now, we do the best we can. But yeah, having a full-time person is certainly going to be a game changer, not just with our student athletes, but out on the recruiting trail too. Softball, you can now have 4 designated coaches on your staff. So there's just certain advantages when you have a fully funded situation versus when you're piecing it together with a full-time person and some part-time help. So it's an advantage, and it's an advantage, but more importantly, wins and losses aside, it helps to have that support for our student athletes.
Yeah, and Tracey had said to me last season, because of my passion for her team, that she said, I'm hearing volunteer coaching. All I could say is my Diamondbacks have taught me a lot about defense. So I definitely, softball, baseball world, you learn about defense. And I did get experience in the coaching class that we took. And I credit my teacher that I had at Marywood University. I took a coaching class, and she chooses 2 sports for us to learn the art of coaching through, and she chose softball and basketball. So we had to actually go jump right into softball, which means I had to learn about the sport, and I think she had been a former coach, so she had such a love and appreciation
Right.
for it. But yeah, I mean, softball, honestly, it is a really fun game. It's a beautiful game, and I know I'm going to ask you this question. It's probably going to cause you to laugh in a way, but you had an ace. You had an ace last year, and what have we done to kind of get that bullpen expanded and your pitching expanded for this year?
Well, Laura was not able to throw this fall due to some health issues that she was kind of getting through, and which provided a great opportunity for our younger staff. You know, Michaela Stockwell worked extremely hard over the summer, and preparation really is peace of mind. I mean, that kid came in with totally different air of confidence about her, and so much of it just came down to the work she put in over the summer. So she got to throw a lot of innings for us this fall, and I'm very, very pleased with where she is, and excited about the work list we're going to attack moving forward the next couple months. We have a transfer from DUVO. Lexi she's a sophomore, and she's doing some really nice things. She's going to be a fine addition to the staff. And then we have a freshman, Ariana Exarchikis. She's a gentle giant, I like to say. She's just around 6 feet tall, but you know, ironing some things out with her mechanics. But the spins she has on some of her pitches, this kid's really going to do some great things here. So I'm really, really excited about our staff, and I think we're going to have a lot more versatility this year and be able to make some changes. And Rose Nicastro, I don't want to leave out Rose Nicastro, who also worked very hard over the summer on some mechanical issues. Rose came to us as a walk-on last year and has really worked hard to make some improvements in what she's doing, and you know, she was able to get some innings this fall as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited. So it was almost, I never want to wish any of my kids, you know, to be unwell, but having Laura have to sit out, it was almost good for the team, because we need to learn how to win without Laura, and I think we've become very good at knowing we're confident behind her. But these other four are going to make fantastic contributions. So I'm really, really excited about having, you know, a more well-rounded staff, I would say.
Yeah, and that's awesome to hear, because Laura did so much last year, and so much was expected, right?
Right.
Of so much that someone can do, much is expected, and so to see the staff improve, and like you said, you never want to see somebody out, but it has to build experience, and with that experience you hope that there's growth, and with that growth you hope that there's depth. So it always seems to be a blessing in disguise when people have to go out there and play more that you didn't anticipate they will, and hopefully all of that in the fall will pay off dividends in the spring when you have a full, God willing, very healthy staff.
Yeah, they can all do very different things, which is what's going to make which is unique. You know, they all give it a little bit different look. But yeah, it's going to be great for the team, and I'm really excited about it. So I think the team is as well. And we were able, you know, we did win some of those scrimmages. I mean, I say win, you know, sparingly here, kind of, you know, keeping in mind that it's unlimited substitutions in the fall, and we're pretty much doing whatever we want. But we're competing very well with the teams that we played. So I'm pleased. And that was without Laura, so adding Laura to that mix is only going to strengthen it. So.
Where do you feel like this team is, because you get that experience with Division I and fall ball, and you get to have those moments when you're a Division II school, but now being Division I, and like you said, maybe not showing as much because these are going to be your opponents, or could be. What did you learn about as far as where your team is and where you need to be? Because the blessing of being a softball team is you get to play a fall schedule before the games count in the spring. So instead of just practicing, you're practicing and you're getting body of work and you're getting film. So where is this team in the Division I transition?
Yeah, see, I can't imagine being a fall sport, because they get their new kids and they're out there and they're competing right away. With softball, we have the advantage of really getting to know our players. The fall helps them work through the jitters, and that light bulb moment occurs where they realize, oh, it is the same game, you know. I think I've always said I recruit Division I athletes who chose to play Division II, so I feel like our athletes are very capable to compete, especially against the schedule that we have put together. The game doesn't change. You know, softball is softball. I think what you see with some of these bigger schools is more depth in the lineup, more depth in their pitching staff. It may take us a year or two to build on that. We increased our offense last year. Our offensive production went up about 60 points. I think we hit 240 something in 2022, and then last year we hit 305 and led the conference in many categories. So I think there's a trend of upward growth, and I think that's only going to get better as we get along here in the transition. But the game is still the game, and the kids know that. And you can put Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA, whatever the case is. A lot of these kids grew up playing against each other.
Yeah.
And it's, so you got to kind of keep perspective about it too. I tell the kids, no matter who you play, they all put their pants on one leg at a time,
Yeah, to those that can put it on too, God bless you.
Yeah, right. They're rare breed there, but.
Yeah. So for you, what keeps you in it? You and I have talked about your passion for softball. You've spent a lot of years, like you said, you've been in the Division I ranks. You've learned a lot of things over time. Why be with LeMoyne in such a monumental period in this new chapter? Why be the coach of this team as they move into Division I?
Yeah, it's definitely it's a difficult job for sure. I think our coaching staffs in all sports are having to change some things in the way they operate a little bit. I love the game of softball, but more than anything, I love interacting with the team and our student athletes. And just, what some people don't understand about coaching is you navigate so many things with the athletes that you work with every day. There's family deaths, there's illness, there's tragedy. There's also a lot of good times, but you walk with them through grief and through happiness and through triumph and despair, and just seeing the growth process of how someone comes in and handles something or handles themselves emotionally as a freshman and how they're leaving as a senior it's just hard to explain what that is like to be a part of, and it's just a complete privilege to have the opportunity to establish those relationships and not only help them become good softball players, but adults that are going to do great things out in the world when they're done at LeMoyne.
You talk about out in the world, this is a question that's been on my mind. Major League Baseball has 30 franchises. Is it time for softball to get something substantial in America so that we can see a good paying, high quality, professional opportunity?
I would love to say yes, but I know it all comes down to the almighty dollar, and we seem to fill the stands for sure when it comes to the Women's College World Series. With the way professional softball has worked to present day, these athletes are only paid for a few months out of the year, so it's hard to really get our finest athletes to commit to it. But what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you invest in the sport and the people come, or you hope the people will come, or do you need the people to come first? I don't know, but that seems to be the stalemate our sport is at. It's great to see we're back on the docket for the Olympics because we were removed for a bit, but no, I'd love to see that selfishly, but I understand the financial part of it, and it needs to sell itself and bring the crowds in, which I think there's a good opportunity for that, but we need greater financing up front for that to happen.
Yeah, and I can say from my point of view that the WNBA did not get notoriety and opportunity until opportunity was presented, until there were networks that said, we will carry the games, we will do this, we will put them out there. And the same thing with the NWSL. I mean, I didn't think the Women's Soccer League was going to survive a few years ago, but sponsors came in and access and opportunity. When you continue that hamster wheel of nobody's coming, nobody cares, nobody follows it, if someone's willing to showcase the game and put it out there for someone to see, that's what creates it. When you don't let it be visible and you don't let there be access to it, and you run this fake narrative that nobody cares about it, well, if you can't see it, the people that do care about it, it's hard to care when you can't be a part of it, when you can't be around it. And so I think with the NWSL and the WNBA, hopefully the same thing with softball, is that we stop running this hamster wheel of this fake news that it doesn't matter to people, and that we showcase it and give people the opportunity to make the decision for themselves.
I think the interest is definitely there, but I also think, this is where we have great opportunity as college coaches to advocate for our sport. I'm local, I know a lot of people here. We do a good job and have an easy time of filling our stands here.
Yeah.
But we also work really hard with our outreach, and I think if you get these younger kids interested and show them where the game can take them, that's the first part of all this. So that's why it's even more exciting about this transition, because it's going to be fun for, not that we didn't like playing in the NE10. The NE10 has great competition. We've had some great battles there, but for people to come out and see some interstate rivalries, which we just didn't have as many of being in the NE10, I think it's just going to strengthen that. And if we continue to do that at the college level and generate that interest in the young kids, that's the next step to hopefully making the professional softball world happen, and not just happen, but thrive.
Yeah, you start young and you create the opportunities. It was the same thing when I was growing up as a kid. It was basketball, football, or baseball. No one talked to us about lacrosse or playing soccer. And I think back on it, and I'm like, I probably could have played soccer and could have done this, could have done that. And it just there wasn't the access and there wasn't the information. And I think that when you create that at a young age, then people, if they've always been around softball, there's a good chance that they respect it, appreciate it, and are going to desire to see more of it. So if you have children, let them know about the sport of softball. If you're an adult, then take some interest in it, even if you've never been around it before. You have a place to come to in Central and Upstate New York, right here on the Heights, to see Tracey Roman and her team that did some incredible things last season that I got to see just what they're going to do this year in their first Division I campaign. Tracey, history is about to be made, and I'm excited to be along for the ride. Thank you.
And we're happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much, Dan. You're a great partner to us, and I really appreciate everything you do for our program.
Well, I appreciate being here, and you make it easy. I'll talk with you all soon. Stay safe.